What do we do when we're feeling down, unmotivated, and just kind of crummy and awful? Here's some answers, okay? And the fourth thing I'm going to share with you is a secret that I don't think you'll have heard anywhere else. That's something that I've worked on and created for myself around how to navigate down times in myself and how I've helped hundreds of people do the same thing. So I learned this technique over the last 20 years of doing transformational work. I'm a celibate monk right now, and I love my life. And it's not to say that I wake up kind of chipper and the birds are chirping every morning of my life, but I've created a certain strategy and way of transforming anything that doesn't really serve me, that I don't really appreciate or I don't want to feel in a very short amount of time. And I want to share that with you today. This all started many years ago when I just got fed up with feeling awful. Now, in my life, I had a lot of things that I kind of wanted, even though I was totally broke and like $80,000 in debt. As a graduate student, I had friends, I had a good life, I had health, I was fit, but I kept injuring myself, and I would call it being depressed. I went and saw some therapists, and I wanted to die, but I wasn't suicidal. Like, the suffering in my life was quite significant, and it was quite mysterious. And it wasn't really until I became a celibate monk that became unlocked for me. You won't have to do that, by the way. That's not your secret, but it was for me. So I just was so miserable, and I would get stuck in these depressive cycles, and then I would feel anxious, and I would just feel generally unfulfilled in my life in a way that was really hard for me to understand. So I eventually found some really good help with some amazing mentors, some geniuses of personal development in the spiritual path, namely the queen of which is my spiritual master, Her Holiness Sai Ma. Check her out if you're in need of some real deep healing, essentially. And she's in another level than anybody. All this to say, here are the steps that I discovered that I'm going to bring all together for you today. This is the secrets of what to do when you're feeling down, unmotivated, and just generally awful. Number one, you've got to do this because you're dead in the water if, God, that's a harsh saying. you're done. Oh, that's kind of harsh too. You got to do this. Let's just say that, all right? You've got to tell yourself it's okay, right? That it's okay that you're feeling this way. The state of your life is okay. It's this secret of acceptance that if we really genuinely accept a way that we're feeling or a circumstance in our life for a finite and I would say short period of time, then our ability to change that thing increases dramatically. In psychology, we call it the paradoxical theory of change because it's paradoxical because if we want something to change, we have to accept it, right? So the first thing we want to do is just own it. Say it's okay that the way that we're feeling sucks, right? It just sucks. But this is why we do it. We don't want to add another layer of judgment, of resistance, of some other unhelpful perspective to how we're feeling or the circumstance in our life, right? It can and will get better. It can get better, and it will get better if we do these things or some iteration of these things that I'm sharing with you, because you can generalize this into anywhere in your life and you can change any circumstance, any relationship, and any internal experience in your life, right? So for example, don't go into the future and be like, God, it's always going to be like this way. It's always been that way. Or look into the past with a certain gaze, right? Looking for everything that's red in the past. You're going to see what's red in the past, quote unquote, in this metaphor, right? You're going to look for what's not working in the past and then go to the future and what's not working in the future, right? Don't do that. Don't add anything to it. It doesn't matter what the past evidence has been. We are dynamic, incredible creators as humans, and we have the power of our mind to create internally and externally however we wish if we strengthen that muscle, right? So the first thing is just say it's okay. It's okay that I am this way or that the thing out there is this way, all right? The second thing, do something to shift your state. Now, what I mean by that is your mindset, namely just your mindset, actually. Your mindset, I was going to say your emotions and your thoughts, but that's all in your mindset. So shift your mindset. How do you do that? Through the body. You can do this through meditating, through intensive breath work, which I've shared before in some videos. You can do this through lots of different ways. The best way I have found is shifting through the body by doing something rigorous. For some people, that's actually doing something calm. Like I live in Naples, Florida, and there's always people walking to the beach. They look pretty, well, I don't know that they look delighted, actually. A lot of them look kind of angry and sad. Anyway, if you go on a walk on the beach, maybe you're walking your neighborhood, get outside, shift your state, take a cold shower, do something in your body that will shake up the awful feeling that you're having. It's essentially be in action and do something. So do something, right? And it's okay to start small. My God, just do something with your body, and ideally something that's new or something that is reliable that will have you be able to shift, right? And stay focused on the goal of what you really want, how you want to feel, or how you want the situation to change. So number 2 is shift your state. Number 3, train your mind. Now, these are in a sequence, right? Because if we first accept that everything is okay inside of us, that'll soften us a bit. Secondly, once we shift into our body and get moving a little bit, that softening will allow us to be a little bit more flexible and create some nice kind of movement inside of our body through endorphins and other kind of neurotransmitters will get activated in a helpful way. And then we'll be able to have some stoke, some energy to train our mind and to create with our mind, to see what we want. And once we're clear and we've shifted our state, we look through our intuition to find what is it that we can do? What is the action step? Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a website that we're going to check out. Maybe it's finding something or someone to meet us, to help us, to do something that, and all of this is in this third step of training our mind, meaning we train our mind to look at life a certain way. How is this terrible circumstance actually creating a possibility for me? It's in some ways radical perspective, and if you can practice this over time, you will create the result that you want. Yes? In other videos, I've talked about some breath work meditation that will actually have you train your mind and listen to your intuition. Now, here's the fourth thing that's a secret. And this is the thing that you don't want to do. This is the major pitfall of what you do, of what you can do when you're down, unmotivated, and awful that will have you stay stuck in that. And that's going against it, right? It's saying this sucks. I hate this feeling. Why do I always feel this way? Because what we resist persists, right? If I'm pushing down on this thing, I'm focusing on this thing. Like I'm putting energy at keeping it down. So we just let it come up and accept it. It's not going to stick around unless we feed it and indulge it and keep it close to us. I'm talking about a feeling at this point, right? So do just enough to get out of it. Now, here's a nuance around not going against it, right? Is saying F this or screw this, right? That is not going against it. That's like enough and like throwing all the stuff off the table right onto the floor. It's like enough, and turning over the table and going out the door. A little violent example here, I know, especially probably for a monk. Anyway, it's helpful, get some John Wick out of this thing, It's just like blow some shit up. And the blowing this stuff up that I'm talking about, of course, is like these things that no longer serve you, right? So do just enough to get out of this. And then we come back to step 1. It's okay. And in fact, if you can go further around beyond even saying it's okay and appreciating how whatever that situation was externally or the internal feeling it was, and appreciate how it actually served us, oh my gosh, this is the key. This will give you a level of insight to yourself that will not allow you to go down that same road of feeling stuck and feeling down and unmotivated and awful again. So there you go. Put this in practice and let me know how it works for you. All my best.